Hi, we are now moving forward into the aftermath of Easter. The aftermath of Easter, and why I'm calling it the aftermath of Easter, because the new energy is here right now in this very moment in time and space. It came in full-fledged at Easter time. And you have been preparing yourself diligently for the last 40 days before Easter to do your meditations, to do the things that were going to support the new energy coming in at Easter time. So the blast came in. Now the question is, and this is an important question to you, what are you going to do with that energy? How are you going to use it? Are you going to waste it on frivolous things? I think about it sometimes this way. If someone gave me $1 million, what would I do with it? How would I spend it? Would I save it? Would I pay off all my bills? How would I use this energy of $1 million? Because $1 million is energy too, you know. How would I use it? Well, your Easter energy is as valuable as somebody handing you $1 million. And I mean that. It's as valuable. It's a valuable commodity. It's a vibration that it will spur you forward and support you in your future decision making, the plans that the masters have for you to master in this lifetime, or fulfill those desires of your heart on your spiritual journey. You have within yourself a huge new energy. Now, energy is made up of a vibration and a force. This whole universe is energy expressing. You are a unit of electrical energy. You say, well, I'm in this body and it's got form. But if you take it, the form away, you are energy. You are a vibrating energy force. And when this new energy is here, then the time has come for you to really put on that cloak of new energy and acknowledge that it's here and that what you are going to do with it. What are you going to do with this new energy coming in? Are you going to waste it? Are you going to just be frivolous and just run around and hither and far and find out what's around the universe with this new energy? Or are you going to use it for new revelations? Are you going to use it to support the observer self of yours? The observer self can use a lot of that energy to look at your life and support you in breaking up old thought forms. It's like taking I call it my blue sword, just simply because I didn't know what else to say about this new energy and how to open it up and to be able to use it in support of my spiritual growth. You have within yourself, I'm going to call it a blue sword energy, that can pierce through negative thought forms so that you aren't so susceptible to those thought forms, so that they will run your life negatively. You know that we have the opposites, and we're living the opposite because this is a part of the world, the third dimensional world. It lives in the opposites. You have been learning about the opposites for months upon months and years, some of you, and how to stay out of the opposites. And we've worked on our observer self, the one that witnesses the I call the little I, the big I witnessing the little I, and my little I was Janie, and my big I was Jane Elizabeth. And my big I, Jane Elizabeth, looked at little Janie and saw what little Janie was up to and doing in the opposites. And when I was able to break through the veil that kept me stuck in the opposites and cooperated with my soul, then I was able to more quickly move out of the negative part. And even the positive part is in the opposites. We say, oh, I want to have that peace and harmony within myself. But I have it for an hour, 3 hours, and then immediately I go into this other state of being. And we've been working on this. We see that we go up and down the scale of the opposites. The opposites need to be moved out of, even the good, because the good supports the bad. The bad supports when you're in the good place, you say, oh, thank God, a breath of fresh air, only to find out that it flips over onto the other side. We don't want either side of the opposites. We want to go to that oneness, to that infinite part within us, that I am presence within us that can support us in moving out of the third dimension, out of the opposites forever. I can remember when I was beginning to learn about the opposites, and it felt so strange the way I was moving from one side to the opposites to the other side of the opposites. And I can remember getting this revelation, which was neither one of these opposites are any good. But if you want to play in them, you can play in them as long as you want to, because they were there to teach you and to help you to move forward in intelligence, in consciousness. Learn to love and not hate. But then there comes a time when neither of those opposites need to be met head on. You can move to the higher, and then you can be in the play, but not be of the play. Jesus said, I'm in the world, but I'm not of the world. What was he talking about? He was talking about, I don't play in the opposites. I'm detached. I'm detached from the opposites. Now, way back 2,000 years ago, nobody would have understood that. But now you do understand that. You do know that the opposites play havoc with you. And in order to calm the opposites, we have to go beyond them. And this new energy that is coming in will help you to have more revelations, more understanding of yourself in the opposites. That's why that observer was so important at the beginning of this year, to use it and to strengthen it and make it so strong that it's there for you 24/7. And if you still feel like your observer self is a little bit weak, then continue to support that observer self. Say, I'm two people. I'm Jane Elizabeth, and I'm also Janie. And I could look at myself that way. And it made it easier for me to get revelations, because I was kind of detached from what was happening in my everyday life with my family and children and my work. I could get detached much easier when I was in the observer self. Now, because everything is energy, and there's new energy coming in, and it's here, and we've prepared our body temple to receive this new energy, use it wisely. Use it to support your spiritual growth. Use it with the idea that you are going to be breaking up old thought forms that have held you prisoner, not only for this lifetime, but if you can actually go back to the other little eyes that you were, all the little eyes, I say, I had all these little eyes, and even Jane Fenton Hart was a little eye until 1967, when I started to realize and had a God experience in the light, which shattered my idea of who I was. The other thing that you use this energy for is to shatter old belief systems. Shatter that ego self that is running your life right now. That is just a little eye. It's just a little tiny eye with a little dot. And it thinks it's everything. And it's interested in me, my, ooh, does it hurt me? Is it something that I'm going to be happy about? Is it something I'm going to be sad about? If I change jobs, it will be worse than the job I have right now, which I don't like, but it could be worse, it could be better. Oh, as soon as you have thoughts about that, or I'm getting out of this relationship with my wife or my friend or my the people I work with, whatever it is that you're working on, all of that has to be looked at from the observer self to find out who is playing in the play. You see, you're playing in a play. That's why this world is an illusion. It's made up of your thought forms. It's made up with what you think and your universal mind, because you are part of a greater universal mind, but you're an individualized, small, little universe upon itself. And it has walls all around it. And it's called the little I, that came to do whatever you came to do this lifetime, to experience everything that you need to experience this lifetime. But it's just a little I that has a dot over it. And when I saw that, was taken into the light and saw that, that was a wake-up call to me. And after that, my spiritual journey began, and I started to see some of my past lives that created the little I that I was. So you have to pull yourself up on a higher level to look at the play you're in. One of the things I remember helped me a lot is that I would see myself on top of a mountain, standing on top of a mountain and looking down. And I saw myself in the play that I was playing in. But I was looking down at it. And I saw the way it thought, the way it tried to manipulate, the way it tried to get its own way. And I was appalled. I was totally appalled. Oh my God. Isn't there anything that I ever did that wasn't a selfish act to take care of this little tiny I that's only this big? Only this big. And it had to have its own way. But when I stood up on top of the mountain and looked at that little teeny I, who thought it was a great big I, believed it was all powerful, was highly intelligent, and smarter than most others. Well, that got broken. That got broken into a million pieces. I swear to God, it was like Humpty Dumpty on the wall. God took that ego of mine and threw it on the ground and broke it into 1,000 pieces and said, now, Missy Miss, put it together. Well, there's so many pieces on the ground, I don't know how to even do it. I surrender. I surrender. I can't do that. I can see the pieces all over the ground, but I don't know how to put them together. I don't know what to do with them. Help me, teacher, help me, God, help me, infinite intelligence. I didn't even know what to call it, but I did know something. I needed help, and the way I was going to get that help was through surrender. Surrender to the process. And what happened once I surrendered, I picked up each little piece that was on the ground and had a look at it. And what that was on the ground was all my past lives. Do you understand? God broke out all my past lives and broke them open for me. And then as I picked up each one of the different lifetimes, the little eyes that I was talking about, and saw what they did and how they responded and what their desires were and what they wanted out of life, that created their next lifetime. And I went back and back and back and back, looking at all the little eyes that I'd ever been. This did not happen in a day. It took years. It's a process. It takes time. It takes time, because the goal is to understand your whole self. How did you get where you are right now? To move into the next state of your beingness, which is not attached to the lower self. So what is happening is that God is breaking you out of your lower self by shattering all the other eyes that you've ever been, helping you to look at them somewhat. Thank God I didn't have to look at them from beginning to end, but I had to look at those parts that were error thinking that I carried from one lifetime to the next lifetime, thinking I finally was intelligent enough to use my brain in new ways. And I was. I had to have a certain intelligence to get to the place I am at right now, simply to give up the intelligence of myself and move into my intuitive self. In order for God to take me into my intuitive self, I had to have the lower smashed to pieces, and to see each piece and how it all related to my whole self. Then, and only then, when I had that information, did I have the information enough to blend that with a higher self. You can't give something away you don't know about. If you don't know you have it, you can't just move out of it. You have to know what you have in order to surrender it. Do you see? You have to know that you had this lifetime that you were very rich, and the next lifetime you were very poor. Because in the rich life you didn't share your money with anyone. Now you have a life of just being a poor beggar on the street, because when you were rich you never paid anybody, you never gave them any money. So now you have to have the opposite experience, which is to want money and not be able to have it because you weren't generous. Well, then the following lifetime after that, you said, I will be generous. I will be loving to my fellow men. I will see what they need and give it to them. Because I've experienced both. I've experienced being the poorest of the poor and the richest of the rich. And neither one of them made me happy. Neither one of them made me happy. When I got all down to it, it did not make me happy. I was still wanting. I was still craving something. I didn't know what it was, but I knew I was craving it. So I had to find out what I was craving. I was craving God enlightenment. That's what I was craving. That was what I wanted. And I began to move more rapidly because I was able to experience more energy, because I had freed myself of a lot of bad thought patterns, which got dissolved. The blue sword, I got my little blue sword out and started poking thoughts to pieces and saying, out of my way, you do not help me. You are not my friend, and I'm not going to indulge in that because it brings me down. Do you have a friend in your life that does nothing but bring you down? How much do you want to be with that friend? Not very much. You will pacify them and move on. Well, that's your thought forms. They pile up. They pile up and pile up. And the work begins as you recognize these thought forms that have kept you bondage for eons and eons of time with all these little teeny eyes running the show. And when I found out I had all these little teeny eyes running my show, I thought, what the heck? Why would I ever want to let this little puny eye, ego, self, run my show? I want my greater self. But the only way I could get to my greater self is to see all the little selves that no longer had any power over me. So I had to take the power out of those little selves of mine. Do you understand? The little selves have to have their power taken out of them. And as a spiritual student, you have to know that is your work. That is the thing you do to raise to the next dimension of beingness. Is it easy? No. Did I like it? Absolutely not. I wanted to put something over my head and hide from it. But I soon found out that did not do any good. No good at all. I had to sit down with myself. I had to sit down with myself. And I had to say, Father God, absolute intelligence, whatever is out there that I know that is helping me to have moved this far, help me to go on. Help me to see that which I don't want to see. Give me the courage to see that which I don't want to see. I like my little world. It's so nice and comfortable, even though I don't like it and I hate it, but it is comfortable. So I can say something about that. It's comfort. I even surrender my comfort. I surrender everything because I know that I have all these little eyes. Aren't going to take me anywhere but into another little eye. And if there's power within me, strength within me to look at these things, and if this Easter energy that is here right now can support me in finding more of who I am from the very essence of myself, so that it's not hearsay, I own it. You see, I can speak to you right now with authority, with true understanding, because I know how the system works. I know what the process is, and I know the goal. And I wouldn't give it up for the world. If you want to know God, ask for divine revelations. Take me into your arms. Open my eyes. Let me hear differently. Show me the way. Show me this new energy is here to support me. I want to use it wisely. I don't want to waste it on trivial things. I want to support myself in every essence of my beingness. And I want to support you in every essence of your beingness because I know that you're just like I am, struggling to find out the next step of your evolution. And I too am in another school. After I graduated from the third dimension, I went into a fourth dimensional school, and then a fifth dimensional school, and a sixth, and a seventh. states of beingness. You see, God has many, many stages, and we learn them all. And we operate from a higher dimension of self. We are no longer working under the karmic law, but you are very much working under the karmic law. But when you move out of the karmic law, and you are in the third dimension serving, you do it because you love your brothers and sisters so much you'll do anything in your power to help them be free, to help them to know themselves, because you're beginning to know yourself. You're beginning to know what it is to be in an expanded consciousness, not just momentarily, but to live in God consciousness with the infinite will, infinite love, and infinite understanding. To be able to look at your brother or your sister and know, not from a judgment point of view or a critical point of view, but you know what they're stuck in. And you'll do anything in your power to break up that negative thought form that's keeping them in the gutter, that's keeping them from moving forward. You'll get out every inch of your blue sword, because now you've advanced in using that blue sword to break up thought forms of your brothers and sisters. Because it's an energy, it's a pattern. It comes on strong, and it's powerful. You started breaking up your own old thought forms, then you raised to the level of moving into the higher consciousness, and then you break through your brothers and sisters' thought forms that are keeping them stuck so that they can get some light in their room. You open the door so they can see, because you love them, because you care. But you have to do your work first, so that you know what you're doing when you get to the higher realm. And that it's not about judgment, it's not about you don't like them, you're angry with them. No, it has nothing to do with that. That isn't even a part of your consciousness. It may be hard for you to believe right now, but it's not a part of my consciousness. If I lovingly support you and push you a little to open up a new avenue of love and light for you to work on, I look at my work as being able to open a door of consciousness in you and empower you to do your work and encourage you to do your work. Because I know how rewarding it is. I know how you're going to feel when you have battled the foe and come out on the other side of this. I know what it's like to be in peace and the peace that passes understanding, because only will you experience it, will you understand it. It's a part of you. You have been given a wonderful, wonderful opportunity to move now with this new energy. And you have to take responsibility for it. You have to take it in and do your meditations, do your journaling, do whatever it takes to go on through this. Because as you do it, you become more light. You become a better vehicle, a better body temple. You have better so-called equipment. Your body temple changes into a greater capacity to receive more light, to receive more revelations. You are a unit of electricity, of energy. And this energy is coming in through you now. This is a wonderful time for you. This is the wonderful time for humanity, because everything is changing for humanity to look deeper into themselves. You can tell it by the movies that are coming out, the songs that are being sung. There's a yearning to know thyself. Set thyself free. Thank you for listening to this video. I send you love, energy, power, and strength to do the work that your soul desires and move into a new dimension of being, a new species. You may be in a human body, but you won't think like a human being. You won't look at life like a human being that lives in the third dimension under the law of karma, doing its work. You will be off of it. And then you will be serving, because there's no reason to serve. You don't have any karma to do. You do it because you love. That's the ascending energy. So I say, I look forward to visiting with you next week, and we'll go on this journey and move forward. I love you, I support you, and I know that that energy is on you. Grab it up, wrap it up, and use it to become all that you are.